Hello everyone, welcome to Django Rest Framework complete course. So before starting our topic, I highly request all of you to please subscribe my channel and give a thumbs up to the video. In this course, we'll be seeing a lot of things about Django Rest Framework, and finally we'll be developing a complete resume builder app and deploy the app with Circle CI and the live environment. So let me talk about the outline of this course. First of all, we'll learn how to set up Django and Django Rest Framework. And then we will start with detailed concept about serializer, why we need serializer, how to use serializer, and then we will learn about working on function-based API, API decorators, API views, and some of the advanced topic like authentication, API security, role-based access control, and we will learn how to test API. We will learn API documentation and versioning the API. We will learn about working with generic views and mixins, and then we will be working on JSON web token. After that, we will learn about working with model viewset, and then we will study in depth about test-driven development. We will write the test cases and test the project, and we will work on API security. We will work how to secure our API. Once we are done with the development of our resume builder API, we will prepare for the deployment with Circle CI. The complete source code will be shared on GitHub. I'll share the GitHub link on description. Please feel free to use the code after completion of this course. Django Rest Framework is a widely used API framework for building highly scalable, secure REST API with Django. With Django Rest Framework, we can develop highly scalable and secure REST API in no time. Now let's start working with project setup. To separate our project from other projects' dependencies, first we need to create a virtual environment. Let's create our virtual environment. First we need to install virtual env library. Once it's there, we can create a virtual environment with python env and name and path of our virtual environment. Here I am just creating with resume bnb name on the current directory. If you are on Linux, you can activate your virtual environment with source dot path and name of your directory, like you can see here. But currently I am recording this video from Windows, so for Windows you can do with virtual environment name, the directory name, and slash scripts, and inside it will be activate. The folder is activate. So dot environment name slash script slash activate, and once the environment is activated, you can see the environment name inside a bracket on the left side of your path. Similarly, you can deactivate your virtual environment and you can switch by just deactivate. Now it is deactivated, but now we are going to activate it. Once our virtual environment is activated, let's upgrade our pip. Pip is Python package manager, so let's upgrade it. It takes some little bit of time. Now you can see our pip has been upgraded. Now let's install Django. First we need to install a Django framework. Now you can see Django has been installed. Now let's install Django Rest Framework. With pip install Django Rest Framework, we can install the Django Rest Framework library. And now you can see Django Rest Framework also has been successfully installed on our virtual environment. I'm just clearing the screen. Now let's start a project, Django project. With Django/admin start project, and project name we can start a project. But the thing that you need to remember here is this dot after resume builder. Okay, after the project name. In Django Rest Framework, we start app inside the project. And the reason Django Rest Framework advises this extra layer is to avoid the name classes. The name classes means if you, for example, would like to create a app that has name scanner, then this classes with the model of the Python package scanner, which is on the Python package manager. There could be a name that is scanner, then it will clash with that name. So then your model can no longer reference item of the scanner app. Due to this reason, by nesting these in the project name, you will make this model available from name of project dot app name, and you can still import scanner package from the Python package manager. So this is the reason that we need to create or start app inside the project. Let's start our project. Let's create a project. And you can see this resume builder project has been created. And if we did not use this extra dot after this project name, then this manage file will be inside another resume builder, and another resume builder folder will be there, and the project will be inside there, and we will be creating apps here. And now let's start app name resume API. And you can see our resume API app has been started or created. Now the configuration that we need to do is we need to go inside our project settings and add project app name as a installed app. Okay, our installed app is resume API. Once we are done with adding install app, that is resume API, now let's configure the URL. On urls.py, let's include, first we need to import the include method from django.urls, include, and let's include the our app URLs. Now we do not have app URLs file in our app. Let's create one inside resume API. Let's create .py. Now instead of typing everything, let's copy this and let's paste it here. We don't need, first we do not have any path configuration, just let it be blank. First let's do the migration. Make migrations. Okay, migrate. Now we are done with configuring the URLs. Now let's include REST framework. As our installed app. Okay, now we are almost ready to go. Let's start our server and check if everything is okay or not. Yes, everything seems okay and our server is up and running and we are ready to go. Okay, let's define our requirements for the resume builder API system. We need user registration system so that user will be able to register themselves, sign up, and the registered user should be able to create the resume. So we need user model and resume model. These are the fundamental requirements of our resume builder API project. In context of user model, we will learn how to create custom user model in Django Rest Framework. We will customize the user class. We will understand the importance of the user class and we will migrate user data to SQLite. Currently we are using SQLite by default, and end of this project we will migrate our database to Postgres. When we migrate new Django will create authentication and authorization related data on default table. Built-in user table has around 10 to 12 table fields like name, ID, username, etc. But let's assume we are not fully satisfied with the built-in fields where Django provides. Then we will customize built-in user class. We may add or delete fields, or we may change to login by phone number or login by email, not username, etc. We can do this by customizing built-in user class, and after finishing all we can run our migration and the custom user data will be created separately on our database. And the thing that you need to understand here is it is very good idea to customize the user class at the very beginning of the project for the big project. Later we can update this customized user class, or later at any time if we are planning to make a scalable project we can customize or scale it. To customize this built-in user class we have to write two different classes. The first one will be the user class and the second one will be the manager class. Now let's create an app called core and then we will create those user class, manager class, etc. Now the core app has been created. Let's add this app on install app, include URLs. You might be wondering why you have to name app core. It could be anything, but this is the convention for the user table, so you can name this as core. Now let's open models.py file and write our own classes. First we need to import from django.contrib.auth.models, import abstract base user, permission mixin, and base user manager. And now we need to create two classes. One is manager class and another is user class. Name can be anything, but I am creating as a custom user manager and user. This user class is going to be inherited from abstract base user and permission mixin class. Yet we have not created any fields. Now let's create our required fields for the user model. Email, models.email field db underscore index equals true, and unique equals true, max length equals some default 255, and first name equals models dot char field, max length equals some value, last name equals models dot char field, some max length some value, and country code models dot, this is also char field, and mobile and address. Easy stuff equals models dot boolean field, default equals true, is active equals models dot boolean field, this is also default equals true, is super user equals models dot boolean field, default equals false, because all the user will not be super user. And the thing that you need to understand here is, if you are not using Django admin, you don't need these fields. There should be a connection between user manager and manager class. So objects equals my manager class. Okay, my manager class is custom user manager. Here I am specifying email as the username field. You can set anything else such as mobile, or you can add username field and you can use the username field as the username. And you need to also say that unique equals to true and db index equals true on your username field. And here in our email I have added db index equals true and unique equals true in our email field. And you can also specify the required fields over here. Required fields equals first name, I'm specifying for first name, last name and mobile. Okay, required fields equals for me first name, last name, and last name, last underscore name, first underscore name, last underscore name, and mobile. If you are going to create user or super user through terminal, then this required field should be specified. This is mandatory. We need to create three function definition inside this custom user manager class. The first way is to create user and create super user. These methods we will be calling when we create users or super user from terminal. Okay, the main method we will using or we will require is the private method. We write private method with underscore. Here underscore create underscore user is the private method. We will check if the email is valid or not, and we will check if password is provided or not, and we need to normalize the email, and then we will set password with set password method. Without set password method, password will not be hashed, so it will be insecure to save the text password, and then we'll save the user. Create user private method is the main method to create the user from our custom user model. Okay, let's create two methods, create user method and create super user method, and this method will be called when we are creating user or super user through terminal. If you are not going to create user or super user from terminal, you may not need these methods. So here I am passing the values email, password, first name, last name, mobile, extra fields, and on extra field we are setting age staff and age active equals true, and age super user as a false for the super user, and age super user will be true for the create super user method. Our user manager is inherited from base user manager, so and let's some meta class to our user such as verbose name and verbose plural name. Class meta verbose name equals verbose name equals user, and verbose name plural equals users. Now our user manager is ready. Once our user manager are ready, we can make migration and run our migration. And before migration, we have to set up one thing on setting files, that is auth user model, means which user model we are going to authenticate. So let's add it at the last of the settings file. Auth user model equals core.user. Now we are letting Django Rest Framework where to look for user class or which user class to look for. Now let's do the migration. First let's make a migration. Yes, you can see our model user has been created on separate table. Let's migrate now. Okay, migration is completed and our user table, separate user table for our custom user has been created. Let's register our user to admin.py file on our core app. From core.models import user. And let's register admin.site.register and register user. We are done with basic user model. Now let's create models for resume detail. I think only resume model will not be sufficient to store data to create professional resume. So let's create other three models. One will be resume model, section model, and content model. Okay, so resume model with foreign key relationship with user model, and we will need section to store section title, and we will need content model to store section wise content. Okay, as you can see here, resume model will have foreign key relationship with user, and section model will have foreign key relationship with resume model, and then the content model will have foreign key relationship with section. Okay, let's create our models now. Okay, let's open resume builder app models.py file and create required models. Okay, our app name is resume underscore API. Okay, we opened it. From Django.db import models. It's already there. Okay, from core.models import user. Unlike Django.contrib.auth.models, we are importing user from our custom user model that we previously created. And now let's create resume models having foreign key relationship with user model. User equals model dot foreign key. User on delete equals cascade. We want to delete this resume model when user is deleted, related user is deleted. And let's add title for the resume. It will be char field. Max length, let's edit default to 255, and created ad. Let's add date time field. Auto now equals true. And last updated time of the model, of the resume model. This also auto now equal to true. Return self title. Okay, let's create a section model class. Section models.model. Resume equal to resume will have foreign key relationship with section will have foreign key relationship with resume model. So models.foreign key, this also on delete cascade. And let's add title of the section title, models.char field. Return title. And now let's create content. Model foreign key relationship with section, and delete cascade. Okay, let's add content type to categorize the type of content within section. Models.char field. And I think we need to add a choice field for the content type, so that we can choose what kind of content it will be on the section. Okay, max length equals 50, and let's make choice field. Let's make text for the text block like paragraph, and list for the items such as skills or achievement. So text equals text, and list for list of items such as skills, achievements. Education for education section, and experience for experience section. Content type choice field. Let's add these values to the tuple. Content type choices equals text tuple, list, education, and experience. The value with uppercase is the value stored in database, and another is the human readable display which you can show on user interface. Okay, now let's include this choice content type choices to our content type field. Content type choices. Okay, and order of the section, we can prioritize the section based on the order. So let's make it positive integer field. And text content for adding the context content. Let's suppose like paragraph, it could be, or any content like free kind of content, so text block, paragraph, like this. Or we can add anything like text. Okay, and blank equals true, null equal true, and additional content, additional info equals models term that text field, and this is also blank equals true and null equals true. It could be blank also and it could be empty also. Okay, and now what else we need is date range, from which date to which date we need to add the date range on the section. So let's create a date range. Okay, before content, let's create date range field with start date and end date having date field. Start date and end date. And let's make this class abstract class. Abstract equals true. In Django, abstract base class in Django is a class which is not used by its own, but it provides field and behavior which can be inherited by the models. So let's inherit this date range field here. Models dot, let's create one-to-one relationship. Date range field, until it cascade, and it can be empty also. So let's add blank equals true, null equals true. Okay, now let's return with f string. Let's return content type, order, and section. Self dot content type, self dot order. Okay, we are almost done now. If anything is there, let's check if anything that we need to correct here. Seems here. Let's add auto. Now add equals true, so created add will be added first, and later updated add will be added. And here I can see positive integer field, some typo mistake is here. Let's correct it, and let's say abstract, typo mistake. And now let's activate the virtual environment. And we are ready to migration. Let's start our migration. Python manage.py, make migrations. System check error. Oh, that's some problem. Let's fix it. Let's change date range field as my date range field for the proper typo, and then update it here. And let's update one-to-one to foreign key relationship, and let's migrate. Manage.py, make migrations. Same problem. Okay, the problem is with this class meta abstract. Let's remove it. We cannot create a foreign key on abstract model because that model will not have table in database, and this was the cause of our error. Let's do migration. No changes detected. Let's try migrate. No migrations to apply. And if this condition persists, we can try this with directly. We can make migration with app. Make migration app name. Okay, and our models has been created. Okay, make migration done, migration completed. Now let's start server and let's check. Python manage.py, run server. Okay, server is running and everything seems fine. On Postgres we can directly use date range field method by importing from Django Postgres library, but here we are using SQLite, and SQLite does not have date range field, so we are using this way. And while deploying with CI/CD, we will work with Postgres, and at that time we will import, or we will try to import date range field with Postgres. And here comes end of this session, and we are done with project setup. We have completed your custom user model and user regime model. Now let's move to the next session. Okay, now let's learn about Django serializer. Serializer in Django Rest Framework is responsible for converting objects into data types. which is further understandable by JavaScript or other front-end frameworks. Serializer also provides deserialization, which allows data to be converted to complex data types after validating the incoming data. So you can see here, in simple word, converting complete data types such as a query set and model instances to native Python data type is called serialization in Django Rest Framework. You can see here complex data type is serialized to Python native data types and thus converted to JSON and JSON data. And those serialized data can be now consumed by the JavaScript or any other front-end frameworks. Okay, and one thing that we need to understand here is the Python native data types means sets, dictionaries like this, and complex data types means query sets or model instances. Okay, and similarly the data obtained from front-end frameworks or front-end should be now deserialized. Okay, so you can see here the JSON data types are passed through as JSON data and converted to Python native data types and then deserialized, and those deserialized data are then converted to complex data types. One thing that could come to your mind is it mandatory to use serializer in Django Rest Framework? No. But it is often convenient. Without serializer, we would require writing a lot of code for the validation. For example, if we later add a field to our model, it would require updating most of this function, which thus requires more effort. Okay, so using serializer thus is meant to reduce the amount of work and make the software less error prone. Let's create our serializer now.